Good morning to all of you. Am I audible? Yes, respond please. Am I audible?
Yeah, good morning. You are audible.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I am Mandeep Kaur, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, GZ-CCEG, MRS PTU Bathinda. Welcome to all of you on the fourth day of the first session of this FDP. I especially welcome Dr. Inderdeep Singh, expert for the today's talk. He is with us. So before he proceed with his talk, I would like to introduce Dr. Inderdeep Singh did his BTech in Mechanical Engineering from NIT Hamidpur and then Masters of Technology and PhD relevant PhD thesis of the year 2004 to 5 by IIT Delhi. He has won 2 gold, 6 silver and 2 bronze medals at inter-IIT sports meet in hockey and football. He has been awarded with the Outstanding Sports Person of the Year 2000 by Board of Sports Activity IIT Delhi. Overall, I can say sir is a multi-talented personality. So I would like to request sir to proceed with his talk. Thank you so much, sir. We are pleasure that you are here for the talk.
Good morning, all of you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
All right. Do I have the sharing rights? Okay, good morning, all of you. Thank you, Professor Manpreet, for a very detailed preparation regarding the curriculum vitae. Although you can very proudly claim the credentials and the achievements, but these are not possible without the efforts that the students, the colleagues, the peers, the administration, the management plays in the development of your career. So I always feel blessed to be in company of good peers, good students, the administration, as well as the support whenever we have sought for any kind of equipment or any kind of uh, testing, whatever support we have asked, always the institute has been kind enough to provide us with all the support. And therefore, once you have a very supportive ecosystem around you, you are bound to excel. And I am fortunate that I had that kind of a privilege of having a very positive people around me who have helped me to achieve whatever little has been mentioned by the professor in the introduction. Now, coming on to the lecture which I was expected to deliver, I got a call from Professor Yadvinder, who's also a close friend and a junior, that I have to deliver a lecture. So the first question I asked was that, what is the title of FDP? And then he told research methodology. So I said, to this topic of research methodology, we are conducting our own research which is on a specific topic. How I will be able to do justice with a lecture of a very generic kind? So then he said, sir, you think of some topic and just let us know that what can be the topic. So then I thought for a day or two, and then we discussed, and I asked him that, okay, I will try to share some of my experiences with research paper publication. And then finally, when I saw the schedule which was shared to me, at least I think 2 weeks before, or maybe 1.5, I don't exactly remember the date, I could see that there are now three sessions which are dedicated to research paper publication. Different aspects of research paper publication. So this is important in any research that we do. We need to disseminate the information among our peers, among the students who are conducting research or who are interested to conduct research in that area. So research paper publication is an important deliverable. Even when you submit a research grant proposal to any government agency, they also ask you the deliverables, and one of the important deliverables can be that you will be publishing good articles in peer reviewed journals. So this is one of the mandatory requirement in many places. I have tried to document that or try to arrange that. So I think in 5 years back, I was invited in Uttarakhand, only in one of the government institutes. They organized a 2-day workshop on research methodology, and I was supposed to give 2 sessions on different techniques for research methodology, and I spoke on how to write a research paper. But then I thought that in last 5 years, I should I use the same presentation which I showed there 5 years back in 2016, or should I revise that presentation slightly, or how should I align my thoughts? Because research, as you know, is a continuous process. Research is never ending. When you complete a thesis, many of you, I could see in the participants list, have written their designation as doctor. So I assume that many of you have already completed your PhD degree. So in the last chapter, when we write conclusions, we add another important point there: scope for future work, or scope for research, or future scope. So which means that whatever has been accomplished by the author of that thesis has also led to some other research questions which still need to be addressed by the research fraternity or the people who are interested to work in that area. So similarly, for us, 5 years back, I spoke on how to write a research paper by doing research looking around presentations available, looking around literature available on this topic, and then I made that presentation around 15 to 20 slides, and I was able to emphasize upon the audience that what can be good practices for writing a research paper. So I included the research ethics slides also there. But then I thought that some innovation should be integrated whenever we deliver a lecture on the same topic again. I don't presume that there will be many people who may have attended that session 5 years back at BT KIT Dwarahat in Uttarakhand. Because it was a physical conference, and all the participants were present there for those 2 days. So I was just wondering what should I speak. So that led to yesterday evening, yesterday night only, I started aligning my thoughts about this lecture, that how to speed or how to pace this lecture, what should be included, what can be done away with. Should I talk about plagiarism? Should I talk about the general outline of a research article, how it looks like, or should I show some of my own papers, one or two, and try to show that how this article was written? But then in a topic like research methodology, I don't expect that many of you will be coming from mechanical engineering background. There will be faculty members in this program from diverse backgrounds. So should I talk about something related to my own field of research, and then the research publications there? So I was little flabbergasted in the evening to see that what I should talk about. So whatever you see in the next few slides are something, the thoughts that I was able to align till around 1 in the morning today, because till after dinner I sat down and I said, no, I will not be using the same presentation again. I will be now trying to align my thoughts slightly on a more philosophical side, and try to see that how and what needs to be taken care of when we are trying to do the research publication. Because as I believe, many of us are already supervising MTech and PhD students and writing research articles, and many of us may be writing research articles ourselves, or may have registered for PhD at one or the other university. So I thought that let me align my thoughts related to one particular aspect of research paper publication, and then maybe slightly focus on a tool that we use. Maybe I will try to cover two things, because I have another meeting at around 11:15, so I will have to rush out for that meeting. So before going for that meeting, I will try to figure out, try to plan the time in a way that I am able to give you a tool which is used in different branches of science and engineering, or different disciplines of science and engineering, which is called as the image processing, which is a research tool. Just a brief idea, 15 to 20 minutes, and prior to that, maybe 45 to 50 minutes on this topic of research paper publication. You can stop me in between. This is not a top-down type of communication that I wish to appreciate, or that I wish to undertake during this lecture. This is a very, very common topic. You can stop me anywhere in between, and just we can discuss the topic further. So whatever I am going to present are my own experiences with students, with publication, with different journals, and with different reviewers. So let us just start now the presentation. Why? First question that yesterday came to my mind when I was starting to align my thoughts related to this topic was why. That why, what is the importance of a research publication? Because in many Western countries, we have seen there is no requirement of writing any article. You do good work, you be in touch with the industry, you solve an industrial, your supervisor is satisfied with the kind of work you have done. The industry appreciates the work that you have contributed in the industry, and it has led to some significant savings in terms of cost, or in terms of the workforce, or in terms of the technological advancement. It has led to the increase in the market for the products being made by the company. So deliverables can be multifolded. So if you are able to put in efforts, and it has led to some kind of improvement in the industrial output, you will be awarded a PhD degree. You need not write any research article thereof. But then many other universities may make it mandatory to write a research article. So as I have written here, why do we need to publish? So the three different color schemes have been given, and I am hopeful that you will be able to see the slide. The design is the same that I used 5 years back, but the content is entirely different. So why do we need to publish a research article? So three different color criteria or color schemes have been used. The first two are mandatorily related to the student community. As a research scholar, whenever I will join a particular university or a IIT or NIT, there will be a mandatory requirement for thesis submission. And as I see, I am also evaluating few PhD theses. There is a mandate that you should have at least one or two SCI listed or Scopus publications. So first and foremost is that it has become mandatory to publish. So therefore, we have to publish. We have no other choice because it is necessary, mandatory requirement to submit the thesis. Another important point is if you are interested to go for a postdoctoral position, for example, these days IITs have advertised a rolling advertisement for postdoctoral positions, almost all IITs. So what is the benchmark based on which you can be shortlisted? So one of the important benchmark can be the publications that you have done, the journals in which you have published, the impact factor of the journals where you have published, the theme or the topics of the journals that are whether they are related to what you have done in your PhD work or not. So that those therefore for two important points. First is for submission of the PhD thesis. Second is for the postdoctoral positions. You need to have a good list of publications with high impact factor. So for first reason why is that for research scholars or for people doing PhD, they need to publish. Then comes the faculty position. If we are after PhD, someone applies for a faculty position. I am fortunately now in, I think, three faculty assessment committees in the institute at IIT Roorkee. So my tenure with Department of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering in the department faculty assessment committee is over just few months back. And then currently I am the department faculty search committee member and department faculty assessment committee member in Department of Polymer Science at IIT Roorkee. And also I am department faculty assessment committee member in Center of Excellence in Disaster Mitigation and Management. So every maybe 2 weeks or every fortnight, we are looking at some faculty applications at IIT Roorkee. And first and foremost thing that we look at is the research potential of the candidate, and that is reflected in terms of the project or the area in which the candidate has worked, and also the publications. So publications are an integral part of the scrutiny process which we normally undertake. And then we see that how many publications are the first author publications, how many are multiple author publications, what can be the contribution of the faculty candidate in a specific publication, what are the titles of the publications. So publications do play a significant role at the entry level of any job also, which is related to teaching and research. So it is also important criteria. The next two green highlights are criteria for career advancements. All of you know this, but still we need to see that how important are these for our existence now. These are the those who get selected, for them also they cannot stop publishing, because there is a famous saying which I heard somewhere in our academic circles only, publish or peril, which means that you have to continue publishing your work in internationally renowned journals if you want to be existent or if you want to be relevant in the field of research. So it is also a criteria for career advancement. So we need to focus on publications. Also, when we submit our proposals for research grant for different government schemes, there also one of the important requirements is the biodata of the principal investigator. And as I see in the program, Professor Harpreet Singh from IIT Ropar has already given one session on how to develop your research proposal. So one of the important ingredients or the constituents of that proposal is your biodata. And in that also it is looked at from the point of view with a lens on the publications also, that what are the relevant publications that you have already done in good journals which are related to the topic of the project grant that you are expecting from the government. So for faculty members who are already working, for them also there is an importance of publications. Now we come to the institute and the state, for example the country. For that, for various institutes, the publications are very important, and I am very happy. I don't exactly have the data for this year, but I think till last year, IIT Roorkee was #1 in the country in terms of citations per faculty. So that is also one indicator or index on which the institutes are compared. So in one of the indices, that is citations per faculty, IIT Roorkee was the best among all IITs and all technical institutes and all other institutes in the country. So that helps. The publications by the faculty members do help in getting good ranking for the institute. Also at the state level or at the country level, it also helps. The publications help in establishing the impact of research, because on the science day or the international, sometimes there are celebration of the science and technology, and then the different countries are compared in terms of the publications in different international databases, that how many publications have been contributed by China, how many publications have been contributed by US, and as a country how many publications we have published as Indians. So those all publications are as a benchmark of comparing our research output. Even one of the outputs that I heard some time back, maybe 5-6 years back, was the citations per article, that how many articles have been published by a country and what are the average citation per article for that country. And for those, I think the numbers in from India were also very exciting and interesting. So which means that the kind of articles that we are publishing are good, and then we need to further improvise on them and further try to publish in higher impact factor journals, science SCI listed journals. So these are the reasons that publishing has become now important for all of us. So those who join the broad field of research as PhD students, for faculty members who are working in various institutes, as well as for the institutes, the output is governed by the number of publications. That is one of the important index. And as a nation also, it is our duty to impact the research at the worldwide level by publishing in good journals. So therefore, it is from system level to the individual level, the publications are going to help each one of us. So I will not try to emphasize today in this session that how to write a good article, because there may be audience from science, there may be audience from management, there may be faculty members from engineering, different branches of engineering. So I am no one with an expertise to guide that how to write a research article, but I will try to focus on an important point, that is rejection. Now, rejection is an inevitable process of any research publication. So I will not be talking about what are the good practices for publication, and I sincerely hope and believe that the other two sessions which are planned will be focusing on the positive aspects of publication. I will be talking about a negative aspect of publication, that is rejection. So normally what happens is we submit an article. It is common to all of us. It is not that there will be some people, there may be some lucky people or some genius researchers who whatever they write is accepted in the way they submit. Many of our articles may seek some revision, so we need to revise the article in light of the reviewers' comments. Many times they may get accepted the way we submit, but maybe sometimes we may have to undergo this situation of this bad feeling of the article getting rejected. Now once the article gets rejected, what we need to do? So different people have different approaches, but one of the approaches that I don't like, I have tried to point it out in the next 2 or 3 slides. So one of the approach that we normally adopt is this. I have tried to put it in the form of a dialog box. So what after rejection? Now all of us undergo this process. Many times our articles are rejected. So once the article is rejected, the research scholar with a very we can sad face will go to the supervisor's cabin and will say, sir, maybe he will not find words to put his feelings into the sentence, but then with very heavy heart he will say, or she will say, sir, our article has been rejected by the journal XYZ. So wherever the article has been submitted, or the better way can be send that email of rejection to the supervisor, or forward that email to the supervisor, or you send a WhatsApp message to the supervisor that the article has been rejected. But when in the offline mode you face the supervisor, the situation is very clumsy sometimes, and sometimes it is difficult for the scholar to point out that an article has been rejected. But then as a research advisor or as a research supervisor, many times normally this is a response from the supervisor. No problem, if it has been rejected, it happens, it is very common, so you should not worry, and then you submit it to the another journal. So this is the common response that I see by most of us, that don't worry, it is part of the game. So you submit it in the other journal and let us wait for the response from the other journal. This is very common practice that we see normally happens. But now you will appreciate that I have highlighted two things here. One is it happens, and the another is submitted in another journal. So do we need as a research advisor to further ponder on these 2 points, that it happens, it is common, and then submit it in another journal? What do these two sentences or these two phrases add up to? So this I have tried to highlight. These are my own thoughts, these are not general thoughts, therefore I have given the title of this session as my experience. So this may not be a general experience, every one of us are supervising students. Yes, another thing that I want to emphasize, when the professor from the university was introducing me, she has said I have may have said, because there was a sound gap in between for a few minutes, maybe a minute or two. So on the slide I could see that it is written 23 PhDs. So I have supervised 15. Have completed, and more than 10 are now are conducting research under my supervision here at IIT. So I have successfully graduated 15 PhD students. So 15 have been completed. It is not 23, it is 15. So this experience that I am sharing with you is with large number of articles that we submitted. Many were revised 2 times, and then some of them were even rejected after revision. So this is a common my experience with research supervision. So normally we focus on, okay, no problem, let us see, let us submit it in some other journal. So what does it happens mean? So as we say, it happens. So when we say it happens, what we are trying to do is we are trying to comfort the research scholar, because he or she may feel dejected that I have done so much of effort, I have found out results, the results were discussed, these were analyzed, an article was written, it was corrected by my supervisor, I uploaded it, then I was waiting patiently for the outcome, and the outcome has been negative. So first and foremost, when we say it happens, don't worry. So we are trying to comfort the scholar. We are trying to have a soothsaying, or we are trying to soothing effect, that please don't worry. It is not the end of the game. We still have an opportunity. And then we are trying to show our empathy, that I am also feeling equally sad as you are feeling by the rejection of this article. I was also a co-author. It's not only you who is feeling sad, I am equally sad. Then at the same time, we try to give confidence by giving some tips that maybe this was lacking. These are some of the experiments that we can also do to substantiate another fact that this is what we have claimed, but then this can be further substantiated with these additional experiments. Why not we do at those experiments? Then we try to motivate. Okay, we will try to work it out and see that how we can improvise on that, and we try to build a sense of positivity around that rejection that we have faced. So that includes everything. When we say it happens, so we are trying to bring the student from a pensive or a sad or a melancholy mood to a positive frame of mind. But then sometimes it does not include the fact checking. If we stop at that statement only, which I have shown in the previous slide, no problem, it happens, don't worry, submit it in another journal. So if we stop at this statement, then maybe we are not doing anything that is there in the next slide. But if we seriously mean what we have said in our previous statement as research advisors, then we should also include the fact checking. We should work hard with the scholar. We should try to ascertain the facts. The journal in which we have submitted, try to figure out that what was the impact factor which we may have missed in the beginning when we submitted the article. Try to look around who or what are the type of the articles being published in that journal. So we need to do some fact finding, some fact checking after the article has been rejected. Second thing, we must also look at are the comments of the reviewers, which will give us a fair amount of idea that what went wrong and where it went wrong and what can be improvised. And then, as I already said, improvements possible thereof based on the comments of the reviewers. Now, if as a research advisor, I am doing all these things, maybe I will be able to get the confidence of the scholar back. Otherwise, what is going to happen is, thus, if I just pass on this passing statement, no problem, it happens, don't worry, submit it in another journal. So what will happen is the scholar will go back to the lab or to the office and then maybe try to figure out some other journal which may be not be as good or as the one that we have already sent our article to, and then he or she may submit that article to a maybe a lower ranked journal and may get the reviewer comments from there. Although as a research advisor we may feel that the work is good, it is substantive, and it could be published in a good journal, maybe it is one of that it has the reviewers have not been able to appreciate. So what I am trying to emphasize with the first two slides that I have shown is the fact that the ownership of the article should not only be left to the scholar, it is our article, so our effort as faculty members should be equal or even higher or greater than what the scholar has done. But normally we see that it is somehow it is assumed or it is presumed that the scholar has to publish the article. Our role as a faculty advisor is limited to just supervision or just trying to help the candidate identify a good journal where the article can be submitted. But my personal opinion here is that our role should be more proactive and more guiding, going through the article, trying to find out the comments and trying to help the candidate in getting the article published, because we have a better experience of publication as compared to the student or the scholar. So therefore, if we are passing on this statement only that submitted in another journal and we don't go into the fact checking, we don't look at the comments even given by the reviewer, and then we are not trying, we are just trying to play a game of submission and waiting for the result. I think from my point of view, my personal experience says that the article may get again a bad review. And why the article may get a bad review, that I will try to emphasize in the subsequent slides. So our role, the summary of these two slides is that our role must be more proactive, and we should try to do the fact check if the article has been rejected, and should not leave by just passing on single statement that submit it to another journal. We should try to look at the improvements that are possible on based on the reviewers comments. Now, submit it to another journal can be one statement which requires further understanding both by the research advisor as well as by the candidate or the research student. When we are saying or guiding or telling or advising our students submit it to another journal, these are the points that can help us to make that judicious decision or to make that decision in a more informed manner. So that informed decision will help us to get the article published. Now, once the article has been rejected, which journal or publisher we should choose? We should help the student in that direction. We should try to guide the student that okay, this journal has not considered, maybe this may be the reason for the publication being rejected. So let us now focus on another journal. But what is that journal, which publisher, why that journal? That we need to discuss and deliberate, and then finally decide what is the impact factor of the journal where we are now planning to submit after the article has been rejected. And sometimes I have seen, this is my personal experience, coming back to point number one, which journal or publisher. So we submitted a journal in a, we submitted sorry one article in a highest impact factor journal in one of the fields. So the two reviewers, one was slightly maybe dicey, was not very straightforward in rejecting, but not very straightforward in accepting also. So there were mixed comments for that article. And the other reviewer was slightly on the critical side, that considered. And since there is no clear headway leading to positive outcome of the article, so he said that we will not be able to consider this article in light of the comments of both the reviewers. Then we said that okay, me, myself and my research scholar, both of us read all the comments line by line, point by point, in between the lines also what they wanted, because sometimes the reviewer may not clearly outline what is he expecting, but in indirectly or subtle way they will suggest that this is something that we are expecting from this article. So all those subtle things also we try to figure out, all those which were directly pointed out also we figured out, and then I drafted one response letter even after rejection of that article. I drafted one letter to the chief editor that these are the reviewer comments and this is what is our response, and as a chief editor please have a look at our response, and we appreciate the concern of the journal, because we appreciate that you will publish only very high quality articles in your journal, but our article is also equally good and we have already published with you and our experience has been very good. So kindly have a relook at your decision. And I am very happy to share with you that without any further review of our article, it was published, and now it is one among the most downloaded articles for the last 90 days in that journal. So what I am trying to point out is that rejection should not be taken on the face of it, that the article has been rejected and now what should we do. We should try to have a complete research based on the reviewer comments also. That is the most important part in research publication. How to write, you can, all of us do literature review, we read around 100 articles before we submit our research proposal, so all of us know what is expected from a research article, how to write and what should be there in the introduction, what should be there in the materials and methods, or what can be there in the main body of the article, how to write the conclusions, how to write the references. All of us know that. But once the article has been rejected, how to make it again ready for the next journal, that is the point that I am trying to address. Because the other two sessions I think will focus more on, as I could read from the titles, that they will give you more idea about preparation of your manuscript or article. I am am trying to emphasize on after rejection philosophy, that what we can do. So when we are trying to look at which journal or publisher, that is very important to look at. Second is impact factor of the journal, that we should never compromise that. Okay, normally as a sportsman I see that when you serve in tennis, lawn tennis, suppose you are playing lawn tennis, so you get two chances to make a correct serve. So many times I have seen that if your first serve is not a legal serve, then second serve you do slightly or maybe on a more conservative side. So you the opponent also knows, because the first serve is illegal. Now the second serve, that is the player is ordered to serve, will be slightly easier for me. But the good players, you will see that they don't hesitate to put the second serve also as the most difficult serve for the opponent. So that kind of confidence we need to develop, that even article has been rejected, we should not be shying away from submitting it to a high impact factor journal, because already we have faced the rejection once, and we know that whatever are the comments of the reviewers, if we can threadbare analyze those comments and include those comments in our revised article, we have a very good chance of even improving the impact factor in which we are submitting the journal. So we should not get bogged down by this rejection of article from a particular journal, because I will share with you in the subsequent slides that what can be the reasons. So some of the reasons may not be pointing out at the technical merit of our article. So those may be some other reasons which may be non-technical for acceptance. So we should have an analysis of the reasons that has led to the rejection of our article. Then we should also, as I told you, for the explanation of the first point, we should submit in the same journal also with revisions as a new article, if that is possible, because already the chief editor knows our article and he knows the content of our article, or she knows about the quality of our article. So we should not shy away from, and this is my personal experience, even after rejection. One case I have already discussed with you. In many other cases, once the article got rejected, we modified it and resubmitted in the same journal after the revisions as a new article, and still it was published. So it doesn't mean, we should have confidence in what we have done, so that the reviewers also appreciate. Yes, as I am also a reviewer, I review articles for different journals. So we also look at the quality or the merit of the article, and if it is good, we have no problem in recommending it for publication. So we should first, as authors, have confidence in the work that we have done. And third point is very important. So our previous experience of publishing in a specific journal. So many times you will see that if a person or an author has published maybe 8 to 10 articles in a specific journal, so at least the first scrutiny of the article becomes slightly easier, because the chief editor or the associate editor knows about you, that you have already a good reputation of publishing good articles in that journal. So the first level of scrutiny slightly becomes easier for us. So we should have help our research scholars with that kind of experience also, that you know that what is the merit or what is the quality being expected by a specific journal, because you have the experience of publishing in that journal. So that can also be one of the important discussion points after the article has been rejected. And then also we should look at the approval rates. And negatively, if we say, it can be the rejection rate. So many articles, many journals these days have a rejection rate as high as 90%. So all 100 articles submitted, they only accept the top 8 or 10 articles. So we should also look at the rejection rate, and all this data is available on the websites of the journals these days. So we should scout through, we should try to find as much possible information that we can extract for a specific journal, and then try to see. We can even make a table of the rejection rates of the top 15 or 20 journals in our field and try to see that which one, and we know when we do a work, we know that what is the quality, what is the merit, what is the volume, what is the contribution in this field. Is it a similar type of work which is already done, only few changes in terms of process or in terms of materials are there. So we know as a researcher, so we should do our true introspection before submitting to the journal, taking into account the rejection rate. If the rejection rate is very high or the approval rate is very low, maybe 8% or 7%, then we should see that what improvements we need to do or what volume of content we need to add to get the article published in that journal. Then it is also important from the research scholars point of view, because already we have got a result of rejection after maybe 3 to 6 months of time. We need to also look at time to first decision for the journal. That this data is also available on the journal's website. Most of the journals now share this data of time to first decision. So as a research scholar, that also we should try to focus on and discuss. And as research advisors, we should also help the scholars in identifying the journals which make quick decision, either yes or no, so that the decision is known to us and we don't spend much time waiting for the decision. Then these days, there is another trend of open access. So that is another trend in the last 3, 4, 5 years. This is a new trend in the research paper publication. That is open access, which means that your article will be accessed openly, means it will be free to download by the people all around the world, which will give you more citations, which can help a dissemination of information available in the article to a wider audience. Just a minute. To the wider audience, but then you need to pay maybe for making the publishing the article open access. So that also must be discussed in the very beginning when we are resubmitting our article, that whether the journal is open access, what are the charges, how many maximum pages you can publish with that charge. Then is there some support available, because different journals have different policies for different countries. So we need to look at what is the policy for our country, that is India, where India is placed, how much we need to pay when all authors are from India. So all those things we need to discuss regarding the open access journal also, although it will give you a more wider audience, but at the same time it requires a fee that we need to pay. At the same time, within open access also, we should try to focus on very good journals which may be available in open access, which for which we need to make some payment, but then the publisher must be reputed, it must be listed in the JCR, or it must be SCI listed journal, although it may be open access. So that decision also we need to take judiciously and maybe collectively with the research scholar. And then the last point is known to all of us, that many journals are indexed in different databases. So we can see that where the journal is indexed and whether it will help us. The very first slide, why do we need to publish? So whether it is going to help us in our objective of satisfying that mandatory requirement of publication before thesis submission. So this is a very important decision and should not be left maybe unanswered, that the research scholar is left in the turbulent waters of research, fending for himself or herself, looking around for journals and trying to identify the journal where to publish. So when we pass on this statement as research advisor that submit it to another journal, we should handhold the research scholar or the PhD student, discuss all these important points which are listed on this screen, and then maybe we will be able to make a more informed decision related to resubmission. And I think many of us will be doing that, but then I have tried to figure out the points that normally we in our group we try to discuss when we try to plan a resubmission. So fortunately, maybe in the last 5 or 6 years, many times whatever we have submitted, it has the reviewers have sought revision, but many of the articles have been published the way we have communicated. But yes, rejection is also there. It is an integrity integral part of this whole process. But how to manage that rejection is very, very important. So if we are able to manage it properly, it will make a good impact among the students also. Now, coming on to the point that when we are suggesting our student to submit it to any other journal, it will be treated as a new submission. So as an author, we have submitted it, suppose to journal ABC, and it got rejected from there, and without any further study we submit it to journal PQR. It suppose it gets rejected from there, then we submit it to journal XYZ. So we need to also keep in mind an important fact, that in that broad area of research in which we are trying to publish our article, there will be a select group of reviewers only, as I have highlighted towards the end. So all journals may be sending their those specific articles of those specific topics to some set of reviewers only. So it may so happen, unfortunately, that the article which we submitted to journal X may go to reviewer A, and then when we submit it again after rejection to journal P, again it goes to reviewer A. So reviewer A knows about the content or the decision of journal A, and then again he has got the same article without any change, without any improvement. Again he or she is receiving it for review. So all of us can very easily judge that what is going to be the outcome of that article. So therefore again it is important to see that we revise the article in light of the reviewers' comments before submitting it to a different journal. But I will suggest that we should submit it to the same journal even after rejection. And most of the times I feel that if we have been able to substantially improve the article, the chief editor will be kind enough to accept it as a new submission and ask for the reviewer comments either from the same reviewers or from a different reviewer. And many times I have seen, just recently we submitted one article for review and we got a very favorable comments from the reviewers. Minor modifications were suggested. When we did those minor modifications, we submitted the revised article to the journal. I don't know how it was sent to another reviewer, and now we have got a very detailed comments of another reviewer for our article. So now we are trying to revise the article in light of the second reviewer after first revision was already submitted. So this is different phases are there. Journal to journal, the decision making process may vary. Person to person, the decision making process may vary. From chief editor to chief editor, the decisions may be varying. But then as authors of the research articles, the rejection process is common for all. How to deal with it is something that I am trying to emphasize today. So we should be very careful of submitting the same article again to a different journal without even thinking of revising in light of the comments of the reviewers. So therefore it is important that whatever feedback we receive on our rejected article, we must try to include that feedback in our revised article before submitting it to a new journal. So what can be the general reasons of rejection of an article? So this is going to give us a good diagnostic kit or a diagnostic tool for submitting the article which will not face the brutal sword of rejection. So therefore, if we focus on all these points that are highlighted here, maybe it will help us in making a good manuscript. So what are the reasons given? These are some of the reasons that we normally see when the article is rejected. First is out of scope of the journal. So your article doesn't even go to the reviewers. At the level of the chief editor only, the decision is made that the article is out of scope of the journal, because sometimes our decision in the choice of journal is based on other factors which are non-technical in nature. Many times we will see, oh, this work is not good, we don't feel much confident about the work that we have done, and we try to choose a journal which is having maybe slightly lower impact factor. Then at the same time, we try to see a journal which in some of our peer groups have published that that article was published by Mr. So and so from our institute only in that journal. So maybe that our journal may consider my article also, and or it is easy to publish there. So there are different non-technical reasons that guide us in the choice of the journal in which we are submitting the article, and which must be avoided. So fact check, specifically I have written here, is that all journals have. So on the website, they clearly mention that what kind of articles they are seeking. We must focus on that facts, or on those facts, that these are the areas specifically in which the journal is seeking the articles. Why? Because sometimes we focus on, all of us are faculty members, I presume. Many times we apply for a particular position, and sometimes it is written the basic eligibility requirements or the minimum requirements can be relaxed in case of exceptional candidates, but I have never seen any exceptional candidate getting selected through that. So we should try to avoid that kind of a thing written at the end of the scope of the journal or the articles or the topics that they are looking at. Then the last article, last sentence, sometime they write, and the topics are not only restricted to the mentioned above. So many times we try to take maybe a cue from there, that they will also accept articles beyond these points, or beyond these topics that they have written. But then the focus is primarily on those topics only. If they are not getting good articles on those topics, then, or the article is maybe extraordinarily contributing to some field of research which is related to that journal, they may consider that extraordinary article. But then we are also aware that whether our article is extraordinary or it is maybe article which is going to contribute some knowledge but not an extraordinary knowledge to that field. So therefore, first and foremost point is the right choice of the journal in which we are trying to submit our article. So this is one good reason for rejection, that it is out of scope. So we should try to align our article as per the scope, and not bother too much about the citation or the impact factor of that journal, or maybe the publisher of that journal. If our broad theme is matching with the scope the article is, the journal is prescribing, we should try to go ahead. So we should try to first be very careful when we are choosing the journal in which we are submitting. Second is very common, too lengthy, cannot include in the issue. So we recently, maybe during this COVID-19 only, submitted one article which I also believe was a lengthy article, but it was a review article, and review articles are normally lengthy. So I got a personal email from the chief editor, and then I was told that this article is too lengthy. If you can reduce it to 30 written pages of double spacing, including this many number of pictures and tables, we can consider this review. It is a good review, but then we need this kind of a modification. So sometimes that also we need to see, and how we will get that idea when we look at the articles published in that journal. So always we should try to publish in journals which are well established, which have at least published few volumes. So we should focus on journals which are already established in their fields. So therefore, once we look at the kind of publications that are already there in that journal, especially we should focus on the last 4 to 5 years. That articles, what is the length of figures, what are the number of tables, how the article is published, what are the average number of references. So when we do that kind of research on the articles being published in that journal, it will give us a fair amount of idea that what should be the average length of our article, and how we can make our article brief. Because many times when we were doing our research, people used to ask a very silly question that I now feel was silly, but at that time we used to appreciate appreciate that if you will tell someone, I have published one article, next question would be how many pages. So now that concept has already changed. No one is bothered about the number of pages that your article is made up of or it includes. Everyone is bothered more about the journal in which your article has got published and what is the impact that journal is creating on the field of research in that area. So that length now has become immaterial. The quality of the article has become more important criteria. So we should be very focused on avoiding too lengthy articles. Then the third reason given for rejection is what is new being presented in this article. And we have also got this comment 2-3 times when the reviewers asked what is new being presented. So we have to then justify that what is the USP of this article, what is the knowledge addition or knowledge creation being reported here as a part of this article, how this article is different from the already published literature. So all that we need to justify. And these days, if many of you may have also experienced that the journals are even asking for the research highlights, maybe 5 sentences with a fixed number of characters and alphabets in the in that research highlights. That is also something which the journals are now seeking. Also, the journals are now asking you to sometimes submit a graphical abstract of your work or graphical abstract of your article. So therefore, this is another important reason what is new being presented, and then we need to justify that. Also, the fourth point is related to the third point only, how the results presented are different from the routine laboratory experiments. Now, many times we say, okay, we have a machine, we have a material. I am taking an example from mechanical engineering, and then we conduct some experiments. Obviously, when you will conduct some experiments, you will change some parameters, you will get some results, and then you plot those results, and then you feel that yes, this is a new contribution and I can publish it. So sometimes the reviewers are very critical, and then they try to ask that what is different from a normal laboratory experiment that you do as an undergraduate or a postgraduate student, and this article that you are trying to communicate. So this is a very critical comment which says that this article is not contributing any significant knowledge to the field of research in which you are trying to work. So therefore, the identification of the research topic, the identification of the research problem is very important. And therefore, whenever we start conducting research, we try to find out the knowledge gaps which we try to address through the objectives of our research. So those objectives must be clearly outlined in our article so that we are able to avoid this kind of a very brutal comment that how this work is different from the routine laboratory experiments. Because normally when we say for any machining experiment in any machine shop subject that we are doing, students will go to the lab. They will get to the lathe machine or the drilling machine, and a dynamometer is mounted there. They will fix a job. It can be titanium, or it can be titanium alloy, or it can be a simple mild steel. Then they fix up a tool. Then they will do the machining. The dynamometer will record the forces. They will make a note. Then when feed is changing, what is the effect on the thrust force? When speed is changing, what is the effect on the thrust force? What is the effect on the torque when you are doing the drilling experiment? And then you make table, and then you make a plot, and then you write an article. Someone is right in his capacity to ask that what is the new thing being presented here. These are just routine experiments that are done in laboratory. So therefore, the identification of the research problem, I think that is the most important part. Today is 26th. On 25th of August, one of my students presented the research proposal presentation 2 years after enrolling for PhD. So it took us around 1.5 years to find out that what he has to do. Was once we know what has to be done, I think then we move in the right direction. We conduct those experiments, we analyze the results, and then we are able to publish, because we will be able to publish if we are achieving or we are targeting the right problem statement. So that is important, that the results that we are producing must add some knowledge to the already existing know-how in that field. The fourth, fifth point that normally leads to rejection is, or sometimes for major revisions, is discussion is weak or not elaborate. Many times when we write our discussion and we get some results, we try to say when X increases, the Y decreases by 24%. When X decreases, Y increases by this percent. And then the next part normally we don't address, that is Y. So normally we say when this will change, then this will have a positive impact and it will increase. When this is changed, this parameter is changed, this will change. Then once, and I think one of the sessions was on Taguchi analysis also. So we use the various statistical tools like Taguchi, analysis of variance, and then ANOVA, and then we try to statistically determine that which are the factors which are more responsible, which are the factors which are contributing positively towards the outcome, which are the irrelevant or insignificant factors, and then we try to analyze the data. So those are also very important things. But then many times the reviewer may like to understand what is the physical phenomenon leading to those kind of results, what is the mechanism involved there. So both things are important, understanding of the mechanism, the physical interpretation of the results, as well as the statistical analysis. So we have to develop our discussion in a way that each and every fact that we are trying to establish is substantiated with some logic, substantiated with science. And once it is substantiated with science, I think it will be appreciated and the discussion will be in line with what the reviewers normally expect. At the same time, we must also try to see that when we are writing our discussion, we should not leave what others have already done in that field. That is also one comment that normally the reviewers say or the reviewers suggest, that try to align the results that you have achieved with what others have achieved. So that also must be kept in mind when we are developing the discussion of our article. Many times we may see that our results that we have achieved are different quantitatively, but qualitatively they are in the same line, that they are in the same direction. Many a times we may also see that whatever others have established, our results are completely in contradiction to what has already been said. So therefore, if we are contradicting to the already established fact, we must try to see that what are the reasons thereof, where is the science involved there. And if even the contradictory results are published, even they are more appreciated, but if and only if they are substantiated or they are corroborated with science, that we know that this is opposite to what is the norm, but then this is opposite because of the following reasons, and those reasons are logical. So the discussion is, I think, the heart of the article. If the discussion is developed properly, which is also one of the main reasons for rejection of the article, if we are able to develop our discussion in a logical manner, in a lucid, clear manner, I think there is no reason that the article will get rejected. And once we publish extensively, maybe you get that kind of a confidence that we have developed the article in a way that it cannot be rejected. It may take time for the reviewers to comment. We may have to revise in light of the comments, but the outright rejection of the article can easily be avoided once you have that experience of publishing maybe 50 or 100 good journal articles. So that is what the way I think. But then exceptions are always there. Sometimes you may get an article rejected because of one or the other reasons which may be beyond your comprehension. But yes, even after rejection, if you start working again, you start analyzing the reasons that are listed on this screen, I think again you will be able to submit and it will get accepted. So that is what is the confidence that you get once you do the rigorous analysis of the reasons of rejection of the article. And many times this point number last but one is related to the point number 4, that that the process, suppose we are working in the field of polymeric composites, we are trying to use injection molding. So the process is injection molding. Materials are suppose jute fibers, and then we use polypropylene as the matrix. We use the standard materials, standard process, standard specimens we make, and then we try to see the effect on the mechanical properties. So a reviewer may be very critical in asking that injection molding is known to everyone. Everyone knows about injection molding, that it is used for making the plastic parts. Everybody knows that wood plastic composites have been in use for so many years now. Jute has also been used with polypropylene to develop the composite materials. The mold that you have used is also the standard mold. You are making the samples as per the ASTM standards. Now everything is so standardized that what is the new that you are trying to create out of this article, or that you are trying to report out of this article. So therefore we have to be very cautious when we use standard tools and equipment and materials and processes. Therefore we need to look at alternate materials, alternate processes, alternate tools. And there also sometimes the reviewers are critical that it only the material is changing, only the material is different, rest all remains same. What is new being created here? When you will change the material, obviously the values of the various responses will be different. So that is, so for example, in the same problem we are using, suppose taking the example of injection molding, in place of jute, now suppose you put coir, or you put banana fiber. So the reviewers may be critical that the jute and polypropylene results are already known using injection molding. Now in place of jute we have put banana. Obviously when the fiber will change, there will be some variation in the mechanical properties. What is new? So that is what where the catch about the research article is, that how you can pack or package your article smartly that it is appreciated by the research community. And even it is always advisable to compare your results with the results which are similar looking to what you have achieved, and try to substantiate that the process that has been followed by authors so and so is now substantiated by our results also, and the parameters that they have established for making good quality samples are now further substantiated or proved to be correct by our research also. So very effectively we have to write, and using proper choice of words, that we are not claiming anything significant here. We are only trying to establish that yes, this process is a universal process and can be used to make other types of materials also, to process other types of materials also. Last point is very important. Many times the reviewers will also comment that the article is well written, but we have a problem of plenty. So may consider submission in journal X, Y, and Z. This is also very common in the last few years. So your article, they don't say or they don't make any technical comment or any technical evaluation of the article, but then they make a very logical excuse that they have a problem of plenty. And if you look at good journals, and many of you would be reviewing the journals also, articles submitted to the journals also, and you may see what I try to see is the article number assigned to that manuscript or the article which has been submitted. So I see maybe in the month of August, if the journal is sending me an article for review and the number is somewhere close to 2000, so you can yourself imagine that for that journal, around 2000 articles have been submitted in the year 2021. That is in the 8 months time. And if we take an average duration of month as 30, so 8 into 30, 240. So in 240 days, 2000 plus articles have been submitted. So you can yourself imagine that every day, maybe 8 to 10 articles are journal. So it becomes to get all the articles, and this first and the last reasons. Am I audible?
Yes,
Am I
sir, you are
audible?
audible. Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got a message on the screen that my connection is unstable. All right. So these are the last two, three, the last and the first and second. Out of scope, too lengthy, problem of plenty. So these three reasons are normally taken by the chief editor only when they get a flurry of articles or a deluge of articles, 10, 15, 20 articles per day being submitted to the journal. So they cannot send all articles for review. So therefore, the chief editors normally take a decision, and the reasons which are non-technical are one, two, and last. Out of scope, too lengthy, and the problem of plenty. So when we choose a journal in which we are trying to contribute our article, these three reasons also we should keep in mind. So I think I have spent around 1 hour 15 minutes in totality. So I have tried to integrate abstract, because now, since if I go to the last slide, I will stop just a minute. All right, sorry for the inconvenience. So point number one, two, and last are normally taken at the chief editor's level only. So therefore, we need to write, because the chief editor may not like to go at the complete abstract, not like to go at the complete article. He or she may like to go at the abstract and try to understand that what we are trying to present there in our article, or at the max may look at the conclusions and may try to have an overview of the article. So very quickly, maybe I will try to see, maybe take one or two abstracts which we have published already, and try to see that what can be integrated in the abstract, so that the chief editor gets a holistic view of what we are trying to publish, or what is the summary or gist of our article. So that I have tried to. If you feel it is useful, maybe you can also follow the same, or otherwise, maybe if you have already published in good journals, maybe it means that already you know that what a good abstract can be, because a good abstract can make a good impact. And if a chief editor sends your article to the next level of scrutiny to the reviewers, at least I believe on my personal front, at least 50% of the job is done. If your article passes the scrutiny of the chief editor, it means the reviewers normally come up with suggestions only, with comments, with revisions that the article require, but normally the reviewers don't reject too many articles. So our first level of scrutiny at the level of chief editor depends on a good abstract and a very good and emphatic conclusions. So this is sorry. So this is one abstract that I am trying to emphasize. Different color coding has been given. So there are 5 things that are included in this article. In this abstract. So first part, I will not read it for you. The first part, that is giving us the general facts, which is about the materials that we are trying to do and how these materials are important for the country, society, or for the overall manufacturing sector. So we write maybe 2 sentences on general facts. Then we write the problem statement that for these materials that we are trying to process, what are the challenges? We write the problem statement. Then we write about a sentence or 2 sentences on what are the materials and methods that we have used in this article. We try to focus on that. Then we try to focus on the methodology, that what are the various equipment, or the method is already explained, how we have measured, or what are the inputs that we have used, what are the outputs or response variables that we have recorded, or what is the output of our article. And finally, we try to summarize the conclusions or the major outcome of our article in 2 sentences or 3 sentences. So it makes up the complete abstract or a summary of our article. So we are focusing on the general facts, the problem statement, the materials and methods, the methodology that has been used, and the outcomes or deliverables or the conclusions of our article. So if we are able to summarize everything in 100 words or 150 words, words or maximum 200 words. I think the chief editor will get a fair amount of idea that what the authors are trying to present here, and it will give him or her a good reason to make a positive outcome for our article or a positive recommendation for our article. Another this thing, this is same. The different color coding gives you the again the five important things that every abstract must include: the general facts, the problem statement, the materials and methods, the methodology, and the conclusion. So this is again the color coding. This is another article that we not the recent, it is an old article. And this is now, there is a new trend now, as the things are getting more and more brief, as we say, too lengthy articles are not acceptable, too detailed abstracts are also not acceptable. So the chief editors sometimes they suggest that no, your article must be the abstract must be very brief. It should be only in 100 words only, or sometimes even lesser. So that is a new approach to write a good abstract. So in that, directly explaining that what has been done in that article. So in the previous two abstracts, we are trying to build the abstract from a generic problem statement to a specific problem statement to materials and methods, and then to the methodology, and then the conclusions. But here we directly attack the problem. This is from 2019. This study, I will read it for you. This study presents the recyclability analysis. So directly you focus on what you are trying to achieve and what are the procedure that you have followed by the conclusions. So you don't use the problem statement and the general facts are eliminated here. Directly we start from the materials and the methods and the conclusions. So this is what is the new trend, new approach to write an abstract. So I think I have taken significant amount of time. I'm sorry I'll not be able to cover up the topic that I thought I will give some emphasis on image analysis also, but maybe some other time. Today I have another meeting at around 11:30. I have to rush for that meeting venue. It is a physical meeting, not an online meeting, so I have to reach the meeting venue also. So I will stop sharing here, and maybe if there are a few questions, you can please ask. So please ask you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful talk. I hope that this will be really helpful for all the participants, because although I know that majority of the participants, they have already completed their Doctor of Philosophy, but anyhow still majority of them might be in continuation with the research project with either through their students or as per their own interest. So I hope it will be really helpful, like, because the major phase is that during the research, when there is a rejection, what to do. Even recently, I also faced the same problem when I was completing my Doctor of Philosophy. So when person one get first time rejection, it really may be a demotivation for the researcher. So I hope the way you explain the techniques and the strategies, it will be helpful for all of us. So now the session is open for the discussion. So dear candidates, you may ask your queries to sir. Yes, please.
I think it is more of a philosophical lecture rather than a technical lecture. So I don't feel that there will be many queries here. But you are free to drop an email. I am writing my email address. Uh, uh, I have written down my Gmail ID, dr.inderdeep@gmail.com. So you can always drop an email and I will be happy to interact with you and see whatever I can suggest you based on my own personal experiences. Uh, Yeah, there is a question by Kamal Goyal related to, sir, what is a good impact factor? So maybe in engineering we consider anything close to 4 to 8 as a good impact factor, and in science maybe you can add another 4 there. If you have somewhere around 10 to 15, it can be considered as a good or a very good impact factor. Yeah, I am talking about as per the JCR and the Clarivate analysis. Uh, in engineering, normally anywhere close to 4 or more than 4, we consider it as a good article. Even there are journals which may be having slightly low impact factor, but they are published by very highly reputed publishing houses. For example, in mechanical engineering, we have ASME journals. The impact factor may be 3 or 3.5 or close to 4, but then this publication is considered as a very good publication in the academic circles, especially in mechanical engineering.
So there is another question he has posted from Deepak. What is the quality-wise hierarchy among Scopus, Web of Science, UGC listed journals, etc.?
Yeah, here I have no idea about this because normally we focus on SCI listed list because that list is available, and we focus on the journals which are published in Science Citation Index. Normally we don't look at whether the article is listed in the databases like Scopus or Web of Science. So we normally focus at SCI with a very high impact factor. So maybe, sorry, who has asked this question, Deepak, I will not be able to make any comment on the hierarchy in these three uh, databases or that list that you wish to ask, because I personally have no idea about these. Yeah, Neelam has asked, please explain again how to write discussion. So discussion has already 2 3 points that we need to emphasize is that whatever results we are getting, we should not only focus on the statistical inference of the results. For example, like we say, if this is changed from 10 to 20, the output will change from 15 to 18. So those kind of statistical inferences are not normally appreciated by the reviewers. So if say we should try to figure out the scientific relevance, if this is increasing, why it is leading to an increase in the factor or the response that we are trying to study. So the science is more important rather than the data or the values. So that is one good point to keep in mind when we are discussing. We should try to address why this is increasing instead of discussing on how much it is increasing. And second point is, if it is increasing, we have to figure out that who are the other authors who have also reported the similar findings for maybe some other material combination or for some other chemicals or for some other related experiments that they have conducted, related experiments, I am saying. And then we should try to substantiate or try to logically relate our findings with the findings of the others. So that way, I think these two things, first thing is explaining the science behind the results, and second is explaining that how the results are different or same with the results of the other authors. This will add some different flavor to our discussion. These are two important points. Although when we are working in a specific field, we will learn to develop our discussion in that specific field. But these two things are very, very common in all the articles that I have seen, that we need to focus on the mechanism, phenomenon behind the results rather than only explaining the change in the values. So I have the permission to leave now.
Yeah, sure, sir. So thank you so much. I am really thankful on the behalf of 4 Department of Mechanical Engineering, GZ, CCT, MRS, PTU, Bathinda. Really, it was a wonderful talk and the informative one. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, all of you, and best wishes to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So now I request Professor Kamaljeet Singh Boparai to proceed with the next session. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I am available. Okay, good morning to all. The expert of this section is Professor Jagvinder Singh. On the behalf